So in JavaScript, we can write functions, and up here you see in this particular, we have several functions in this particular JavaScript file. There's one, there's one, there's one, and there's one. And each of the functions have a name. But it's actually possible to do functions without names. Notice that we never really call this function. We do attach, right? We connect that function with this event on this particular element, right? By connecting that, by using add event listener. So we're really connecting up a function, but we don't ever really call it. And so there is this thing called an anonymous function. That's a function that doesn't have a name. And the way it works, I'm going to show you in here. I'm going to do it right on this one. So right here, we're referring to a function called change label. So if I would rather, instead of putting just the name of the function here, I could actually put the entire function here. Now the entire function is going to be bigger, right? And so I'm going to make lots of room, and I'm going to move this function right up there. So I'm going to cut it from here, and I'm going to put the whole thing right where the name was. So right there. But now it will not have a name, but just parentheses. And so what we've got here is what's called an anonymous function. Okay? I'm going to put that back where it was. I gave it space there so you could see it. So this is a function that doesn't have a name. You see that? And we put it exactly, looks like we can tab that in one more time. And we put it exactly where that function name would have been, right? Actually, it's inside that parenthesis. So that the entire function replaced that function name. And this is called an anonymous function. Now let's go ahead and save it and see if it works. This was adding that on focus, changing all that style. So we refresh it, and sure enough, it's still working. Okay? And you can do that with any of these functions. So here we have this change label back. So we can take this whole function and put it right there where the name would be, and get rid of the name and have an anonymous function. So now what we're doing is adding that event. So here we're adding event listener to this element, each element in turn, and we're doing the event is blur, and there's the function right there. An anonymous function just goes there. So the only function we have left is my first, so let's go ahead and do it with this one too. And we go, well, actually we have one more. All right, so we take that, and we're going to go up, and up here's where my first is. So right where that is, I'm going to put that whole function in there and get rid of the name. And now let's go back and see if we broke anything. So we should be able to, our style is still working, so the blur and the focus are working. Let's go ahead and put names in here. And click. Oh, I misspelled turtle. Look what happens when you misspell. You don't get the picture of the turtle. All right, so everything is working, right? We got the sentence, we got the image, the source change. So everything was changing. Those are called anonymous functions, and you can use them anywhere. What do we have right here? We have the function add listeners. This is the big function that contains everything, right? So we can take that function and put it right here. I'll cross your fingers on this one. It seems big when you do so much. And have that be an anonymous function. Go back and refresh. Sally the goldfish. That's 2 months old. Oh, and it all works. There you go. You can have functions without names. They're called anonymous functions.